Now let's talk about those double standards. So remember when the left was all about contact tracing? Remember when they were all for using cell phone data to bust everyone who was at the Capitol on January 6th? Oh, it's so fucking awesome, isn't it? Let's see what they're saying now. Google urged to stop collecting phone location data. Lawmakers pressure Google on Android privacy after leak of Supreme Court ruling. Why would they suddenly flip? More than 40 Democratic members of Congress called on Google to stop collecting and retaining consumer location data that prosecutors could use to identify women who obtain abortions. Oh, so now suddenly tracking people is bad because you want to break the law and you don't want to get caught. It was all fine when you were making the law and you wanted to track other people, but yeah, now it's a problem. Isn't this exactly what I said would fucking happen? This happens all the time with censorship. They all support censorship until they're the ones getting censored. Now suddenly they're against it. We are concerned that in a world in which abortion could be made illegal, Google's current practice of collecting and retaining extensive records of cell phone location data will allow it to become a tool for far-right extremists. Basically, everyone from center, left, rightwards. That's what they mean by far-right extremists. Looking to crack down on people seeking reproductive health care. You mean seeking to break the law? If abortion were made illegal, and you broke the law, well, it doesn't mean freedom from consequences, as you say. That's because Google stores historical location information about hundreds of millions of smartphone users, which it routinely shares with government agencies. Oh, man. The letter was sent to Google CEO Sundar Pichai. Now, if I was Google, I would actually, I would do this. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that advertisers pay a pretty penny for this, if it wasn't for that, I would actually do this. I'd take them up on it. Like, oh, so you don't like us tracking people and sharing that info with the government? I got it. We're going to stop doing it. And then next time they have power again and they demand that I start it up again, I'd throw their own words back at them. Nope, I refuse to do this. You yourself demanded that I do this. Now, fuck you. No, specifically, Google should stop collecting unnecessary customer location data or any non-aggregate location about individual consumers, whether in identifiable or anonymized form. Google cannot allow its online advertising-focused digital infrastructure to be weaponized against whammons, lawmakers wrote. They also told Google that people who use iPhones have greater privacy from government surveillance of their movements than the tens of millions of Americans using Android devices. Where was all of this concern for privacy on January 6th, huh? These same pieces of shit were actively demanding this data be handed over. So the draft Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe v. Wade could be followed by strict limits or bans on abortion in many states. And Democrats wrote that Republicans in Congress are already discussing passing a law criminalizing abortion in all 50 states, putting the government in control of women's bodies. And thanks to you guys, that might happen, as bad as you fucked up recently. Now, really, the debate that I hope this causes is one that I've actually been complaining about for a long time. And that is criminalizing people for doing something that's legal in the time and the place they did it. Like, they do this with drugs all the time. If I were to go to Amsterdam and do all those hardcore drugs there, which are legal in Amsterdam, and then I come back to the US and get drug tested, my ass is going to jail for years. Didn't even do anything illegal. And they're going to, I hope that this practice is put to rest with abortion. Because you know they're going to do this with abortion. So you're going to have whammons in states where abortion is illegal. They're going to go to states where it is legal and have it done there. And then they're going to come back and get arrested for it because it's illegal in the state they're currently in. That might be what it takes to maybe on a national level get rid of bullshit like that. So there could be some positive outcomes here. Now, I know it's wishful thinking. I know it's not actually going to happen, but I can dream, right? In their letter, the Democrats told Pitch High, while Google deserves credit for being one of the first companies in America to insist on a warrant before disclosing location data to law enforcement, it's not enough. If abortion is made illegal by a far-right Supreme Court and Republican lawmakers, it is inevitable that right-wing prosecutors will obtain legal warrants to hunt down, prosecute, and jail whammons for obtaining critical reproductive health care. The only way to protect your customers' location data from such outrageous government surveillance is to not keep it in the first place. These same Democrats need to be reminded that they fucking said this when they demand that data ever again in the future. They're literally telling Google to break the law at this point. So right-wing prosecutors equals not bought by Soros. Yeah, that's pretty much the distinction. So Google obtains detailed information from Android smartphones, which collect and transmit location information to Google, regardless of whether the phone is being used or which app it has open. So while Android users have to opt into this data collection, even if you opt out, wouldn't it be funny if it still did it? Google has designed its Android operating systems that consumers can only enable third-party apps to access location if they also allow Google to receive location data too, which is true. So I did that for a while. I disabled all the Google bloatware, and it stopped everything else from working. In contrast, Google is only able to collect location data from users of iPhones when they are using Google Maps app. We contacted Google about the letter today, and we'll update this article if we get a response. Exactly how Google's location privacy settings work has been a matter of confusion even for Google employees. Yeah, it's not that it's confusing, it's that they're forced to lie by their superiors. As we wrote in August of current months, 2 documents from consumer fraud suit state that in the state of Arizona filed against Google showed that company employees knew and discussed amongst themselves the company's location privacy settings were confusing and potentially misleading. It's intentional. Yeah, working as intended. So because the many cheaper smartphones use Android, lawmakers warned that of a digital divide affecting the privacy of people with low incomes and people who don't want to live in a censored walled garden. So no law requires Google to collect and keep records of its consumers' every movement. No law requires it, but that's where they make their money. You want to know why they could give you all these products cheap or for free? It's because they pay for it by harvesting your data and selling your data. If they stopped doing this, they would have to double the price of all their products and services, if not more. So Apple has shown that it's not necessary for smartphone companies to retain invasive tracking databases of their customers' locations. Yeah, Apple also charges you twice as much for half of the hardware, and they know they got an army of sheep that'll pay for it. Now, Google's intentional choice to do so is creating a new digital divide in which privacy and security are made a luxury. Americans who can afford an iPhone have greater privacy from government surveillance than of their movements and the tens of millions of Americans using Android devices. So here's the catch. If you know that your device is being tracked and you want to commit a crime and you don't want to be tracked, you can have an alibi by just leaving your device at home, because these analists are lazy as fuck these days. If let's say that they found no evidence tying you specifically to the crime. They know the crime has occurred, but they have no clue who did it. They pretty much rely on location data from phones to get their initial suspects in a lot of cases. And if yours doesn't pop up there, could really do you a favor, man. Yeah, license plate readers. Oh, I know about that. Yeah, they track you in all sorts of different ways. So you shouldn't take your own car. I mean, honestly, I would just walk. But yeah, that's a good point. If you take your car anywhere, chances are, even if you didn't have your phone on you, they'd notice your car was there. They would have some questions, absolutely. And while Google uses location data to target online ads, the company often turns the data over to law enforcement officials who obtain court orders. And it's you fuckers who are asking for it, actually. I'm sure they took full advantage of this shit for January 6th. So this includes Dragnet geofence orders demanding data on anyone who wears a particular or who was near a particular location at a given time. Oh, you mean like what you did for January 6th? Now, iPhones also use location services. The lawmakers seem to be satisfied with Apple's privacy promises. So, among other things, Apple says if location services are turned on, geotagged locations of nearby Wi-Fi hotspots and cell towers are sent in an anonymous encrypted form to Apple to augment crowdsourced database of Wi-Fi hotspot and cell tower locations. With the Find My feature that can be used to locate lost devices, Apple says it retains location information so that it makes it accessible to you for 24 hours, after which it is deleted. And that device location services information is stored on each individual device, and Apple cannot retrieve this information from any specific device. From everything I've seen, that's actually probably true. So, post-Roe state abortion laws. Let's see. Assuming the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, there could be more state laws like the recently enacted Texas Heartbeat Act, which bans abortions after it's possible to detect a fetal heartbeat. The law defines that as cardiac activity or a steady, repetitive, rhythmic contraction in the fetal heart within the gestational sac. This effectively bans abortions after 6 weeks. If you didn't get it before then, why? What changed? And the state law lets private citizens file lawsuits to obtain injunctions of damages of at least $10,000 per abortion. These lawsuits could be filed against anyone who performs or induces an abortion that violates the Texas Heartbeat Act, or anyone who knowingly engages in the conduct that aids or abets an abortion after a fetal heartbeat act is detected. Aiding or abetting includes paying for or reimbursing the cost of an abortion through insurance or otherwise. Oh, so all these employers could be taken to task. That's right. Or if the abortion is performed or induced in violation of this subcharter, civil lawsuits can also be filed against anyone who intends to engage in the conduct described in the law. The Texas law doesn't allow the exact scenario Democrats warned of in the letter. Prosecutors could jail women who obtained abortions yet, but states would have more leeway to enact stricter anti-abortion laws or bans after lifting Roe v. Wade. Now, I hope this does happen for one simple reason. Because it'll keep the Californians out of red states. All the Californians that ran and are infecting Texas, they would leave real fucking quick if this shit came into effect. So the Guttmacher Institute, a pro-choice research group, says in 26 states are certain or likely to ban abortion without Roe. Many of these states have laws that were enacted before the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision and never removed. Laws that were enacted after Roe but currently blocked by court order, or trigger bans that would take effect automatically or by quick state action if Roe no longer applies. So that's one of the reasons they never take anything off the books, right there, huh? I can't wait to see how this goes. Now, how much you want to bet that all these violent insurrectionists that have been attacking the members of the Supreme Court they're not even going to get a slap on the wrist for their actions, though. Like, that's the sad thing.